So SDS did a stream about franchise in March to October, and today we're going to be talking about March to October. I already did a video on the franchise stuff, so if you want to go check it out, there will be a card in the top right corner. But without wasting any more time, let's go into what they talked about with March to October. So while we're getting into the footage, I just want to mention really quickly, they didn't talk about too many things, but they did talk about one or two of the things in a lot of detail. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about today is the multi-season. March to October is getting multiple seasons. I don't think they specified how many seasons it will be. We don't know if it's technically 2, 3, maybe it goes up to 10, 15. Nobody really knows. They didn't specify it. But with March to October becoming multi-season, one would have to assume that there is no longer any integration with Diamond Dynasty with this mode. At least that's how I'm reading it. And the second thing that we're going to be talking about is the free agency board. This was a thing that was talked about for the majority of their time from March to October. So on the free agency board, you can see that you have 3 people that you can set as priorities. For whatever free agent that you want, you put them in the first priority, and they give you a specific amount of interest that they will gain every single week that they stay there. You will not know the starting percentage for the interest of that player until at least 1 week passes of them being on your priority board. Now, as you can see, you can put 3 players on the priority board. If you add a second player, the interest that you can earn from the first player each week goes down a little bit, and if you put a person in the third one, the first and second will lose some percentage. So if you're definitely trying to gun for one specific player, sometimes it might be wise just to put one on the board. Another thing that impacts the interest of the players is your position and team needs. If you're, let's say, looking for somebody who's a first baseman, left-handed, and a power hitter, you could put all of those things in your needs. The more your needs matches up with any specific free agent, that will give them more interest to come play for your team. If you want to be able to sign a player, you must get them to at least 50% interest before you can offer them a contract. Now, let's say that you put them on your board and you start simming up the week to get the interest up, and they're about to sign with somebody. They will give you one last chance to give them an offer no matter where you are on the percentage of interest. At that point, you will be given a chance to say yes and try to give them an offer that could work, or you can just pass on them. If you say yes, you give them an offer, and the offer will determine their final percent of interest to join your team. And so long as that player is in the top 25 free agents of that specific year, they will have a walkout similar to the Diamond players in Diamond Dynasty. After the walkout, they will show you what team they are signing with. It will not 100% always be you if you see a walkout, which I think honestly is pretty fun. It builds up to the intensity of did you get him or did you not get him? Now, as you are simming through the days to get to the next week so you can see the percent of interest that you may have for any particular free agent that you're trying to sign, in the top right, it'll show you where everybody signs with other teams that you don't have interest in. Kind of like a quicker and maybe better way of than they do it in franchise, which of course begs the question that I think some of you may be asking of, well, why isn't this in franchise? Why aren't some of the things here in franchise? To which I would promptly agree with you, questioning why they aren't in here. But I've seen some people say that maybe they're trying to get March to October to what they really want franchise to be. So this could be the franchise of the future. We don't know. But if all of these things are going to be in a potential franchise, like the one that we know and love now, I don't think I'd necessarily be upset about it. But after you make it to the next week where you can potentially see if your player has more interest, there will sometimes be a chance where a player that you haven't scouted or haven't tried to sign will ask you to sign them instead. If a lot of their things are meeting up with what you want, they will have a chance of asking you to sign them. You can, of course, add them to your interest. You can say no, or you can say yes and try to sign them. If they come and ask you to sign them, it's still not a 100% chance that you'll get them, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a higher percent chance than normal. And the last thing that we got to talk about between March to October and the free agency board is every offseason you will have one player that you can get a guaranteed acceptance. When you have a player who has over 55% interest, they will give you a specific contract that will guarantee that you can get them on your team. Yes, it will be probably for maybe a year or two more than they may be like sitting there saying they want, and it might be a little bit more AAV, but there is still a chance that you can take somebody and just guarantee that they will be on your team. So that's everything that they talked about for March to October. I'll admit, I kind of think that they're making me a little more interested in it than usual. With the whole free agency board, I think it really adds a new layer that I wouldn't have thought about when it comes to this more in general, because it never really had free agency in it before. Now, I don't know how I feel specifically about the season itself, with having to be forced to play every 5th to 7th game or somewhere in there. Not being able to like simulate through some of the things, or if you really want to play every game, you can't do that either. But this is probably the beginning of what I would just assume to be where March to October probably starts to take over franchise in a lot of its mechanics. Maybe I'm wrong, who knows? Only time will tell. But that's it for me today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next one.